Hello everyone, and welcome to Bear in Mind's Bear Hug. As mentioned on the NXT Stand and Deliver video, I have had a bit of a cold, and as such, my voice is a little bit off, so forgive me. So let's just get to it. So this is night one of WrestleMania 39, which was, spoilers, one of the best WrestleManias ever, I think, and they're going to really, I think, struggle to top it next year. I think the hype, the expectation, the fact that it's number 40, do we or do we not get The Rock? Probably not. All of that, I think it's going to be difficult to top, because this was one of the best built and best executed WrestleManias of all time, which, especially considering that this was over 2 nights, very well done, very well done. So yeah, we'll start with match one of night one, and that's Austin Theory defeating John Cena to retain the United States Championship. Obviously, a decent build with this. We knew that Cena was coming back. This is possibly going to be his last ever WrestleMania, although I imagine if he's fit, he will do 40. I think saying that, though, in this match, he did not look anywhere near at his best. He's obviously still in very good shape. He's still working out very hard. He's not someone that is going to give up very easily. He would have trained for this. He would have practiced. But there was something slightly missing there. He wasn't the same speed. He wasn't obviously enjoying it as much as he used to. He was doing what he needed to do to make Austin Theory look good, which is fine. And I think it was the entire point of it. We're obviously not going to see Cena for a while. I don't know if he's going to be mentioned in the draft, or whether it's just going to be a case of John Cena just exists. So John Cena will go to whatever show John Cena wants to go to when and if he turns up. Yeah, I think we are slowly approaching probably the end of John Cena as an active wrestler, even in this current pacing of him doing a handful at best matches a year, which is somewhat sad to see, because compared to some of the other wrestlers on the card even, and wrestlers who maybe didn't get to wrestle, and wrestlers in other organizations like Chris Jericho in AEW and Goldust or Dustin Rhodes, he's still quite young. Yes, he's in his early to mid 40s, but then so is Brock, so is Randy Orton, and I hope this was just Cena being a bit rusty, because I think it would be nice to see Cena go out with a big bang. I don't necessarily want to see him do a tag team match to finish his career at WrestleMania next year or anything like that. I think I'd like to see him go out with a big one. I'll cover that in a video I've got in mind about booking WrestleMania 40 in the upcoming weeks. But for now, yeah, I think it did what it needed to do. It was a good match. It was not a great match. It certainly wasn't a bad match, but it did what it needed to do, and it got the night going, and everyone had a nice little pop getting to see John Cena. So that's great. Next, we go on to the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, which seemed to be a match that was possibly meant to be picking someone to be a number one contender, depending on who and how various people won the main event that night. Excuse me. It was the Street Profits versus Braun Strowman and Ricochet, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders. This was probably the biggest spot fest of the entire WrestleMania weekend as far as WWE concerned. Obviously, not compared to what Ring of Honor did on the Friday night. That was a little bit over the top at times. But yeah, as far as WWE went, this was the biggest spot fest of the night. But then they had 4 teams, and they only got about 8.5 minutes of actual in-ring time. So they did have to squeeze quite a lot in to make everyone, I suppose, get their moments in and what have you. That being said, I did enjoy it. I thought actually it was a really enjoyable match, not necessarily what I would count as a good match, but definitely an enjoyable match. And yeah, after, like, obviously I'm recording this late, it doesn't appear that any of these teams have been put forward to go after the tag team championships. But then that seems to possibly be because of heading towards Backlash and keeping the story going a little bit longer. So I do wonder what this was, other than just literally giving some guys a bit of time at WrestleMania because they probably deserved some time at WrestleMania. I hope it leads somewhere. I do hope that the tag team division gets fleshed out and properly looked at going forward, because they've got some absolutely stellar tag teams at the moment, whether that be on the main roster or some that are ready to come up from NXT. And with the right bit of TLC, I think you've got something on your hands there. And this WrestleMania proves that a tag team title can be important. I mean, it main evented, it closed, it headlined. Admittedly, it's the story, but then just put better stories on your tag teams. Going into match number 3, we've got Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. I've spoken before, do not like Logan Paul as a person. He's a bit of a POS. However, as a wrestler, this guy seems to have been born to be a wrestler. And I think when that YouTube star, that influencer star finally starts to fade a little bit, and I do hope he does, he signs a proper contract with WWE. He has announced this week that he's re-signed with WWE and hopes to get a title, which obviously means that, in theory, if he is going to get a title, then he probably will have to wrestle a little bit more regularly. It's not like he has to do house shows or anything, but he does need to be on TV at least a little bit more. Logan Paul entered on a zip line. There's a guy dressed up in a bottle of his piss water at the top of the stage, and which throughout the match seemed to be more and more likely that someone was hiding under the costume. Obviously, everyone possibly thought that it was going to be his brother, but after his brother got knocked out in a let's just say fake boxing match, I think it was the week of WrestleMania. I don't think this was likely for him to be there. Wrestling fans don't seem to like that Paul brother in particular even more, but he does seem to have significantly less charisma than Logan. Turned out to be KSI. Good funny spots with him, a bit of humour towards the end of the match. As you'd expect with this match, with Logan Paul being as surprisingly decent as he is, and Seth Rollins being as absolutely incredible as he is, this was a great match. This was a really good match, and everything it really needed to be. Decent length. It was about 16 minutes, so it didn't outstay its welcome, but they got enough time in as well. Very, very good match. Really enjoyed it. Obviously hoping for more from Seth Rollins in the future. Roman has recently said somewhere, apparently, that he would like Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40. Excuse me. But we shall see. We shall see. Then next match, we have a women's 6-man tag match. We got Trish Stratus and the tag team champions of Becky Lynch and Lita going against Damage Control. I got my prediction very wrong on this one. the trio of good guys did win. There was no turn from Trish Stratus. So it was just it was a fairly straightforward match, decent match. Obviously Bayley's first match on WrestleMania for quite some time as well. She had a lot of bad luck, what with injuries and stuff like that, and just therefore not necessarily being in the right storylines at the right time. But a good match. Nothing particularly special, although quite amazing, really, that I was talking about. Obviously, John Cena being in his early to mid 40s at the moment and not looking as sharp as he used to. Both Trish Stratus and Lita are 47 now, and they really don't look it. In particular, Trish Stratus, the way that they both move is incredible. They're obviously in very, very, very good shape. And Lita, I suppose it's even more incredible for Lita, given all of the... She was a significantly more extreme wrestler than Trish Stratus was, had more injuries than Trish Stratus. So the fact that she's still able to do anything at all, to be honest, is a bit of a miracle. So it was nice to see. And obviously it got a decent bit of exposure for Dakota Kai and Io Sky, who, again, hopefully get a little bit more of a push going forward. What was next? We had Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. This has had one of the best bits of long-term storytelling in recent years. Obviously, classic father and son tale. It's easy to do an okay father and son, or brother versus brother, or sister versus sister, some sort of family storyline. To do it well, because it's been done so many times, though, is very difficult. You could argue that this story started all the way back with Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, when Eddie was claiming that Dominic was his child, and they do ever so slightly lean into that. Now Dominic getting his hair cut to look a bit more like Eddie's, Dominic using more of an Eddie's frog splash, Dom coming to the ring in a car not dissimilar. In fact, no, actually, it was Ray that came to the ring in one of Eddie's cars, or something similar to Eddie's cars. Dom really leaning into this ex-con Dom character and coming in a police wagon. I've really liked that. I think they've managed to balance the tongue in cheek, the sarcasm, in the humor of that so well. It's really, really well done. Dominic has come along so far. I think like the SummerSlam of 2020, so in the Thunderdome era, was his first ever proper match. And obviously to look at where he's come from now, amazing. Absolute star of the future. Even star of now, but like absolute star of the future. Ray won, which I think was the right move. I know they are continuing the storyline a bit, at least for Backlash, because Backlash is in Puerto Rico. And so it's going to be, it looks like Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio versus Dominic and Damien Priest. So that's cool. That's very cool. But yeah, cracking match. Good, like it was good drama as well as decent wrestling. It was a nice balance of what wrestling can do, I think. Now, going on to what I am probably going to say is the match of the weekend. The entire weekend. And it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Rhea Ripley defeating Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Obviously, again, good long-term storytelling with this, on and off, the build, the history of what happened in 2020, and subsequently. Can Rhea finally beat Charlotte Flair? This started quite slowly, and I did wonder where they were going with the pacing on it and what have you in it, but there was no need to worry at all. This just slowly climbed up and up and up into a not quite a frenzy, but like the passion, the intensity towards the end of this match. And then when it finally finished and the people cheered, and like the emotion in Rhea Ripley's face, the emotion in Charlotte's face, the director was deliberately taking liberties and sort of, I suppose, breaking the behind the curtain rule and showing Charlotte's reactions. Charlotte smiling and beaming because she knew that she'd pulled something off with possibly her replacement. Or at least someone who's going to take it into another decade at least. And yeah, just a quality match, top to bottom. I don't think there was ever any doubt that these two were going to have one of the best matches of the weekend, but I think they definitely had the best match of the weekend. Going into one of the shortest matches of the weekend, we have The Miz, who is the host of WrestleMania, alongside Snoop Dogg, who were brilliant together. The Miz, yet again, proving his value, and Snoop just being great. Snoop being Snoop, working really well with The Miz. Not hogging the limelight too much, just whatever their little spots were, spot on, did what they needed to do. Thank you very much. But The Miz, typical for The Miz, complaining, where's my match? Why am I not having a match? And Snoop Dogg announcing that he has someone lined up for a match. And Miz, no. I'm in my $10,000 suit or whatever it was. And out comes Pat McAfee. Ken, again, no one knew. Michael Cole didn't know. Michael Cole over the moon. Corey Graves, absolutely hating it. Doing what Corey Graves does. I don't know if Corey Graves actually legitimately doesn't like Pat McAfee, but he does a good job of making you think he doesn't. And yeah, short match, only 3 and a bit minutes. But yeah, Pat McAfee beats The Miz. Nice little breather between that incredible women's match and the main event. It's something I think is occasionally missing from other events. I've mentioned it, my experience of being at Clash of the Castle in Cardiff, that I felt really sorry for the women's title match that night because it came on immediately after the Intercontinental title match between Sheamus and Gunther, and my voice was like this because of Sheamus and Gunther, and pretty much everyone else in the building was like this because of Sheamus and Gunther. And it's strange how oddly exhausting it is when you're watching such a good match and you're screaming and chanting and what have you. And I think that match at Cardiff, the women's title match, would have benefited greatly from a breather, from a comedy segment, from a backstage interview, from something in between. And I think that's what they did for this, and I think it did very, very well because of that. So we have, for the first time since WrestleMania 1, a tag team match main eventing a WrestleMania. And it's the first time ever a tag team title match has main evented WrestleMania. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeating the Usos to win the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. The crowd were well into this. Obviously, this was Kevin's second consecutive main event on the Saturday night of WrestleMania. Obviously, he got Steve Austin last year, so he's doing something right. This is Sami's first ever main event for WrestleMania. And the crowd were well into him, obviously. They still love him. This Bloodline story has been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I think this sort of gave away the result of the Roman versus Cody match, because I feel like if they were going to have Cody win, I don't think Kevin and Sami would have done. I think one or the other, but probably not both. So on the whole, though, excuse me. On the whole, a good, solid tag team match. It probably wasn't that far behind Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. I think the problem it's going to have is that Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, as I say, was definitely my match of the weekend. So it didn't quite hit as much as I wanted it to, I think. But then I don't think that's a problem. I think it still did the job. I think it still flew that flag for tag team wrestling. I think it still made a statement that tag teams can and should main event very big events like this. So, yeah. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the new undisputed tag team champions, to close WrestleMania Night 1. In all honesty, that would have been a great event as just one night anyway. That's how good WrestleMania is at the moment. That could have been, in days gone by, that could have been WrestleMania, with a couple maybe shorter matches snuck in there during the Peacock ad breaks for the fans there and the fans watching internationally who don't have adverts. But yeah, on the whole, quality night. As I said, I think this is one of the best WrestleManias of all time. This was just night 1. I'll see you for the video for night 2. Bye.